the other, one of the other aspects of style is voice. Do you find that keeping to sort of a standard familiar voice is the safe play, or some brands have a really distinct personality, and is it, can that help or hinder conversions to sort of get too unique or kitschy with the voice you're using?
I'm going to jump on that one again for a second. I think tone of voice and making sure your tone of voice is recorded and you have the same tone of voice throughout your materials is very important for consistency and to build trust. If you start using slightly different tones, I think that can cause confusion a little bit. But yeah, that was just my thought on that one. But the style of writing, I think the style of writing can change, but the tone of your brand should be the same and can change a little bit to the audience that's, who we're talking to, but I think it should still have the same tone. I don't know what you guys think on that one.
Yeah, which is so important in a lot of the work you do, Shannon. Yeah, I think having a tone is important. Speaking to humans is important. I think I love personality-driven copy and creative copy, but it actually can get in the way of conversion sometimes. Often, myself included, sometimes we want to be creative and have all this witty copy, and depending on where they're at, they need clear information and clear actions. And yeah, it's a good idea to find a middle ground often.
I think the big danger is, your company has an identity, right? There's values you have, there's things you stand for, there's a way that you communicate. And I think sacrificing that to follow the voice du jour, where it's MailChimp is really conversational, so maybe we should be, or, oh, Dollar Shave Club, they use humor, so we should use humor. I think it's got to be this kind of confluence of who are you and what do you value and what is the personality of the brand? And then kind of at the intersection of that and who are your customers and what do they expect? For example, we, as Rebecca was just saying, conversational is talk to humans like humans, sure, but which humans, right? I think with, for example, working in the cloud security space, those engineers, they're not interested in clever. They want the stone cold facts. They want to get in, get the information, get out. Anything cutesy along the way actually destroys trust. Whereas let's say you run an Etsy store selling, sock puppets, right? Well, there you have a lot of bandwidth. If you're just cold and transactional, where it's 100% wool sock shaped like snowman, okay, that's not the right fit. So it comes out of who is your brand? Brand is important. I think defining that first and playing to your strengths, not someone else's. So, picking someone else's voice off a shelf, we want to sound like Apple. Oh, we want to sound like MailChimp. It's a giant waste of time for everyone involved. It should come out of who are you, who are your customers, and what is the relationship you have there. I think voice needs to be consistent. I think tone can change. So, in a somber moment, you have a somber tone. In an excited moment, you have an excited tone. But the identity behind it should not be schizophrenically bouncing off the walls from, wild and crazy, hilarious person to, very serious, laced up professional. So I think that's where the consistency, at least for me, has to come from. And then from there, it's about understanding who you are and your values and who your clients are.
Yeah, what Joel said it better.
Yeah, and if anyone has a sock puppet Etsy business, happy to write copy for you.
Yes.
For free. Please reach out.
Joel, do you find that for brands that think they have their customer avatar nailed down, writing copy is the one exercise where it's sort of an afternoon exercise isn't going to get you a rich enough avatar to start writing copy that converts?
I don't know about that. I think the way most personas get drawn up are more like wish lists or who people wish their customers were than who they actually are. So oftentimes we huddle around a boardroom. It's okay, shopper Samantha. And we just start peppering in traits with absolutely no basis for any of them. It's has kids and listens to country. It's who are you describing? Who is this person? What is this based on? Anecdotal interactions you had that day. So, there are things you can do in an afternoon that can radically improve your understanding of your customer. For example, a lot of them are free or cheap. go read reviews of your product, of your competitors' products. Read positive for yourself and positive for your competitors. Go read negative reviews of yourself and your competitors. What do they talk about? What pains do they bring up? What language do they use, right? Like if you're in the software space, for example, where I spend a lot of my time, there's sites that tell you, Capterra, G2 Crowd, it's people go on there and share, here's what I like, here's what I don't, here's what frustrates me, here's why we switched. So having a clear picture, that's something you can go and do. The other thing you can do is eavesdrop, head to Reddit, head to Amazon, find something parallel to the space you're in and read conversations where you're not directly asking people for their opinion. Because when you monitor someone, when you ask them, oh, how will you behave in X situation? They'll always tell you the best possible version of themselves, but go find out, like in the wild, what does this actually look like? So I think the biggest danger is companies either make this stuff up independently with no input from the outside customer, or they just kind of drop these cardboard cutouts of personas of who they wish their customers were, and then they sell to those cardboard cutouts and wonder why no actual humans are buying from them.
Yeah, 100%. And then it isn't validated. Like you won't necessarily get it right immediately, but A/B testing is your friend. Like I'm constantly surprised at certain segments or audiences that respond differently than I thought or imagined. Like we all have these misconceptions of these cardboard personas. So test everything and make it better.